Well, one of the lessons I think we've learnt is that we can't do it on our own anymore. And although we might not be responsible for some of these things, like electricity, we actually need the electricity providers in the room with us. And so therefore we started to look more and more at an infrastructure delivery group where we actually bring these people in. And it's in their interests to work with us. It's in our interests to work with them because we get the blame anyway. So it's about trying to work together much more sensibly and sharing information. Some of it's quite sensitive commercial information, or they see it as sensitive commercial information. I don't think it's that sensitive. If the lights go out, then you know there's a problem. I mean, it's pretty simple, really, and they'll get a lot of stick for it. It's about trying to get cross-political support for the kind of developments we need. The trouble is, when you're building large transport networks, when you're putting together any of these big schemes, there is a problem for a lot of people. They don't like it. I don't know what it's like here in Singapore, but generally what the message seems to be is, when are you going to build more homes for my children so they can get a home? Don't you dare build them near me. That's basically the message. It's quite a balancing act, this. So we actually need to try and get more political support for the schemes. A good example of that was our Crossrail network, which I mentioned earlier. That was in planning for a number of years. It started off when it was first put forward as a scheme. Everybody said, that's a great idea. Then the government thought, oh, this might actually get through. So the officials in the Department of Finance and the Treasury Department said, let's look at a more cost-effective scheme. Instead of having one going east-west, let's have one going north-south. That must be better. Let's spend a few years looking at this. And then that was done. And as long as they could keep that alternative on the table, they didn't have to make a decision about the east-west one. Anyway, finally, after years of arguing, we get the east-west one agreed by the last government. Then the government changed, and the new government comes in. And so the first thing the new government says, oh, we're going to scrap this because we want to save some money. Now, the only way we stopped it being scrapped was because we were actually able to motivate all of London, all the political parties in London, all the businesses, everybody to say, no, we've got to have this, and build such a campaign up that it stayed. And that taught us a lesson. It also taught government a lesson, actually, that these big infrastructure schemes, you've got to get a fair degree of public support for them. You've got to get cross-political support. You cannot afford it to become a football match between political parties, or you are in really deep trouble getting them through. They're hard enough to get through anyway. You can't afford that kind of battle.